black people have fallen below the replacement level. I said, do you know what the replacement level is? He said, no. I said, you got to explain that to me. I said, oh, I'd be happy to. The replacement level, according to the population, according to the U.S. Census report, every woman, in order for the race, the population to be maintained, not necessarily fall below or necessarily make any great gains, but just to maintain, every woman's got to have on the average of 2.1 child. Because if women don't have children, what happens to that population? It's not rocket science. On average, you got to have 2.1 average. I said, oh my goodness, and for black Americans, this isn't even the first time, but once again, black Americans are currently right now today below the replacement level. We're down to 1.9. I said, oh my goodness, not only are we responsible for 35% of all abortion in the United States of America, but we're below the replacement level. We're not even replacing ourselves anymore. I said, I'll go one more better than that. Recently, about a year or so ago, it came out in the papers, all in the media. Black Americans are no longer the number one minority. We've kind of slipped below. I said, that's why I'm pro-life. He said, oh my goodness, he was stunned, man, below the replacement level. What was that, 1.9? Yeah, 1.9. I said, how low have you seen it? I said, I've seen it down to 1.6. CDC report. Look it up yourself. Oh my goodness. But still, Mr. Hoye, why are you pro-life? I was stunned. I said, he said, yeah, I never did, but I got. Are you pro-life? I said, well, you don't understand. Black Americans are targeted by the abortion industry. Did you know that 79% of all Planned Parenthood surgical abortion clinics are in my neighborhood? 79%. The report's still online. We got Google Map technology. You can look up the Planned Parenthood, use a Google Map, boom, see it right there. 79% within walking distance in my community. I said, that's why we're being targeted. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's not a poor business model. My people are being targeted. That's why I'm pro-life. I thought I was done with him. I said, oh my goodness, he's writing it all down. I said, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Allowed me to share that. But there were others. And he said, no. I've learned quite a bit, but I still don't understand, why are you pro-life? If you're pro-life in this room, if you are, let me ask you that question. Why are you pro-life? You think about it. I know why I am, but why are you? If you're pro-life and you're in this room right now, why are you pro-life? Why? For me, it boiled down to a day in the month of August 6, 1984, San Diego, California. I'm in a Kaiser hospital room. It's the day that my firstborn son arrived. I've got to tell you this now. My son is alive and well today. But at the time, he was alive. But he wasn't well. He was born a little less than 6 months. He weighed in at 2.1. I could literally hold him in the palm of my right hand. Now, ultimately, my son went down to 1.6. I'm in the preemie ward. You know, there's other families, you know, around the cribs with the preemies, the babies in them. Interesting, they're not called fetuses in the preemie ward. There's nobody 9 months old yet either. But they're not called fetuses. They're not called clumps of tissue. In the preemie ward in the hospital, they're called babies. I was looking at my son. And every day I'd come in, there'd be one less family. We all knew what that meant. That baby didn't make it. That's why that family wasn't there. One day, I came in and I was the only one there. Preemie ward was empty. It was just me and my son. He's down to 1.9 now. It wasn't looking good. The doctor said, Mr. Hoye, we want you to come on in and have this conversation with us. I knew what it was all about. We've seen it before. They sit you down in his office, so I came in, sat down. I kind of knew what he was going to say. He gave me some papers. He wanted me to sign them. And I said, well, why are you giving me these papers? He said, well, Mr. Hoye, I'm your doctor. And I know you're a Christian. It was obvious I was witnessing in the ward. I was praying for the couples and the babies. And as a family, we didn't care whether we were black, white, blue, or green. We were all parents, and we were all huddling around one another, and we were all praying for one another. And as a preacher, I was more than happy to do that. And so it got to be quite obvious that I was a Christian. So he said, Mr. Hoye, I know, appreciate what you've been doing, and I know you're a Christian, and I just want you to understand that as your doctor, I need to share this information with you, and I want you to know that your son's got 2 problems. Your son's got 2 problems. I said, well, Doc, what are you talking about? He said, well, let me tell you. Number 1, we cannot guarantee that the blood supply in 1984 was not HIV/AIDS tainted. And so, your son needs blood. And since we can't guarantee that the blood supply is not HIV/AIDS tainted, you got a problem. We don't want to risk that. And we found needles. It was so small. It was just a miracle. God was just blessing that they had found the needles. But the blood supply, it couldn't guarantee it wasn't tainted with HIV/AIDS, the virus. So he said, Mr. Hoye, your son's got a problem. I said, Doc, I can solve that. I can solve that problem. I said, my dad and I will become my son's blood bank, and we can guarantee you our blood's not HIV/AIDS tainted. I know where my blood's being. He said, all right, Mr. Hoye, I appreciate that. We'll get on that. But I want you to understand I'm your doctor. I need to have this conversation with you. And I want you to understand that your son still has a problem. That's a problem. We'll check your blood out. We'll check your dad's blood out. We'll make sure it's a good match and everything is working. But Mr. Hoye, I want you to understand, and we were just assuming that's going to work. I want you to understand you got a problem and you cannot solve this problem. I said, Doctor, I can solve the problem. What is it? We're talking about my son. He said, Mr. Hoye, again, I'm your doctor. This is medical science. And to be quite honest with you, to be quite frank with you, this has got nothing to do with your God. It's got nothing to do with your religion. It's got nothing to do with your Christianity. I just want you to know medical science has at this point, all we're going to do is make him comfortable as we can. He had gone from 2.1, he was going down to 1.9, and he wasn't looking like he was gaining any weight at all. I said, Mr. Hoye, we've done all we can do. If you just sign right here saying that, we've had this conversation, you understand that we've done all that we can do, just going to try to make him comfortable. Feel free to come and visit him as often, as long as you like. I said, Doctor, I can't accept that. He said, Mr. Hoye, again, this is not about your religion. I said, oh, yes, it is. I said, Mr. Hoye, I know you're Christian. I said, I know you do. I'm your doctor. I said, hey, wait a minute, stop right there. Doc, I want you to know that I appreciate what you've done, but to be quite frank with you now, I want you to know that I know a greater physician than you. I know a much greater physician than you. He said, Mr. Hoye, I don't want you to get offended. I said, I'm not offended, but I know a greater physician than you. And unless he tells me this is all the time I'm going to have with my son on earth, I'm not accepting that from you. I said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to pray about it. He said, all right, Mr. Hoye, again, I'm not trying to say I'm not offended, but you can't tell me that. And I'm not signing the papers. I refused to sign them. I went home that night. And I prayed. And I prayed all night long. Anybody here ever prayed all night long? Maybe about mom or dad or a family member, I don't know, about your church, something. I prayed all night long. I prayed hard. I want you to know that I did not get an answer at all. I didn't get one answer. Nothing. I got up, went to the hospital. I was haggard, half asleep, made my way to the preemie ward, and I picked up my son. I held him in my right hand. And I'm thinking that this is maybe the last time I'm going to hold him. And that's when God answered me. This time I'm holding him, but it's different. This time I'm beholding my son. I'm not just looking at him. This time I can see his eyes, and I'm beholding his eyes. I'm counting his fingers, and I'm counting his toes, and I'm looking at my son. I'm beholding my son, and my son looks just like me. And that's when God spoke to me. That's when he said, Walter, what you're holding in the palm of your right hand is what's supposed to be on the inside of a live, living, breathing human being. At that point, I knew. At that point, I knew what abortion is and what abortion does. It was clear to me. Ladies, I'll never know what it's like to carry a child in the womb. I'll never know. I'll never know what that feels like. But I can tell you this. I know what it feels like. The whole one. In the palm of my hand. I'll never forget that feeling. I know what that feels like. And from that day, I've never been able to dismiss the pro-life movement. My life has never been the same since. I know why I'm pro-life. The question tonight is not why I'm pro-life. The question tonight is, why are you? Why are you? If we're going to end abortion on demand in America, if we're going to go back to a time where the medical community deliberately, consciously, on purpose, chooses to save not only the woman, but the baby, where it's and both and not either or just have clinics that don't even have to have doctor admitting privileges in a hospital, and yet claim to care about women's health. If we're going to go back to a time where women are truly valued, then we're going to have to get back to a time where we're not redefining who's human and who's not. We were just talking. I know what it's like not to be human. Everybody in my family wasn't human. My great-grandfather wasn't. In my church, we know what that feels like. But here we are again today in America. And we've redefined it. I'll leave you with this. You can give me any advancement men or women have ever made in the world. You can give me any advancement, any victory we've ever accomplished as people, men or women, any. And it doesn't mean a thing. Abortion is the #1 human rights issue on the planet. Because without life, nothing matters. Ladies, you can vote now. But without life, nothing matters. You can hold a job now. It's the #1 human rights issue on the planet. And I can't think of anything more sacred to fight for than to fight for the very image of God. God bless you.